Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Doug's Guitar of the Day, episode 9. We're almost in double digits. I'm going to be in the acoustic mode for this episode and the next episode before we get back to electrics. I only own 3 acoustics, but they're all special to me. They go in that category of I can't sell them because they've got sentimental value. So, and this is one, and this has an interesting backstory to it. This is a Guild Jumbo, model number J30 BLD, which I'm assuming stands for blonde. Go over the specs real quick before I tell you the story. Solid spruce top, and really, it's hard to see with the reflection from the window, but really beautiful curly maple back and sides. And the neck has some figure on it too. There's a stripe in the middle. I'm not sure if that is rosewood or walnut. Grover tuning keys, gold plated. I've got the plating about wore off. I've had this guitar about 20 years. That's just a headstock clip-on tuner on the top. Really simple but elegant, and it's got that jumbo big sound to it. I don't know if it's going to translate on this camera or not, but the bass response is really good. Rosewood fretboard, smaller dot inlays. Usually dot inlays start at the 3rd fret. This one starts at the 5th. That gives it more kind of an understated look to it. And usually you know where the 3rd fret is because that's where you play your G chord, so you really don't need it there. I kind of like that. No built-in electronics or anything like that. I thought about putting some in for a while, but I think I'm just going to leave it as is. Modification, I think it's a bone nut too, bone bridge saddle. I really haven't messed with this one too much. It really doesn't need anything done to it. But it didn't come with a front strap pin. And I started hitting bluegrass jams, in the mid 2000s when I was still living in Illinois. And I noticed that rather than have the strap button on the back, guys were putting them in this location. So I had to drill a hole in this just for functionality because you need a strap. Unless you want to sit in a chair. And a lot of times in a jam session, you're kind of moving around from group to group or whatever. So you need a capo, you need a headstock tuner, and you need a place to put your strap. So I drilled a hole and put a little strap button right there. It's just below the 13th fret, maybe about 1.5 inches or so. So now let's talk about the story a little bit. Late 1990s. I used to go into Linda's music a lot. She recently closed her store after a number of years, but for 20 or so, or maybe even longer years, I went in there and bought a lot of things, a lot of strings, a few guitars. Anyway, had my eye on this one. It was brand new, and I'd go in and play it, and the reason that I liked it, it reminded me of a Gretsch acoustic that I have that belonged to my grandpa that was given to me years ago, and that'll be in the next acoustic guitar installment episode or whatever. But this reminded me of that, and it was really interesting. It was around Christmas time, and Linda had come up to me and, she just asked me a kind of a strange question. She's like, if you could have any guitar in the store, what would it be? And Linda usually wasn't the hard sell kind of gal. I thought, well, what's going on here? So I just happened to be playing this one, and I'm like, well, it'd have to be this one right here. Now, me not being that much of an acoustic player, this one kind of drew me in for some reason. And then the sound kind of cinched that, and I said, well, it'd have to be this guitar because it reminded me of my grandpa's Gretsch, and I need a good acoustic. Blah blah blah. I said, but there's no way I can afford it right now. And she didn't mention anything else about it. Well, come to find out, what had happened is my mom and dad had called her, and they said, has Doug been in? Has he been looking for anything in particular? And she had said, well, I'm not really sure, but the next time he comes in, I'll find out for you. So that's what happened there. Linda was trying to pick my brain to tell my mom and dad what guitar I wanted so they could get it for me for Christmas, and I had no idea. So I guess after I left the store that day, she'd called my mom and dad. They must have given her the number or whatever, and she said, I know what he wants. And Christmas Day, unbeknownst to me, complete surprise, that afternoon, Mom and Dad come over to my house, and they've got this big jumbo guitar case. I knew what it was right off the bat, but I didn't, expect it. So that's why this is a no sell guitar. I'll own this thing forever, and probably hand it down to my grandson or whatever, just like the Gretsch was handed down to me. Really beautiful sound. I just changed the strings on it, so it may sound a little brighter than it normally does. Kind of scared me a little bit. Now, shortly after I moved from Illinois to Memphis, Tennessee, I noticed the bridge was pulling up on this guitar, which is a common thing. So I took that and I had it repaired and then glued it back down. It's been okay ever since. But I don't play this really that often. Like I said, I'm not that big of an acoustic player. So I got it out today, and when I was hitting the D string, I heard an octave D lower than that. It almost kind of sounded like a buzz too, and I'm like, oh great, there's a brace that's loose on the inside or whatever. And then I started looking at the strings, and some of the windings were just kind of shredding off. I usually don't change acoustic strings that much, so I'm like, well, I hope this does it. So I found a set of strings. I use 12s on this, and I use elixirs. They're actually coated, and they feel a little slick initially, but that coating causes them to hold their tone a long time. And so long story short, I put a new set of strings on. That vibration, that octave sound went away. So it was just old strings. I was like, didn't want to have to go through another repair. So anyway, since Mom and Dad got this for me, this is one of my dad's favorite songs. Now I would just, play for him. Used to be when I first started, he would catch all my mistakes. He's like, you missed one there. You need to work on that. You need to work on that. Past 20 years that I played for him, he didn't hear any mistakes. He just wanted me to play, and I still made some. And when I played for him, I didn't have a backing track. I just had to do my best, and it's still hard for me to play guitar with nothing else going on and feel good about my playing. So I am going to play to a backing track on this song, and this is a piano song by Floyd Kramer called Last Date. Actually, years ago, I need to touch on this too, because I was in a music store that was kind of short-lived. I think it might have been on Prairie Avenue in Decatur. A guy named Carl, who used to work at SMI Music, ran that store, but somebody in that store was playing that song Last Date, and I thought, man, those are really cool moves I didn't know. And he said, I can teach it to you. And I'm like, no, that's beyond me. He's like, oh, you can do it. And that's where I kind of learned how to how to do these chord hammer-on things. And that really helped me out in my country playing. I wish I could remember who that guy was that showed me that. Because that's one of my most overused licks. Anyway, blah blah blah. I know. Let's see if I can get to this song. Something like that. See you on the next one.